Okay. Oh. Oh, hello. Oh there, Jay. Well, it sure has been a while, hasn't it now? How's life been treating you, huh? Let me be the first to tell you that, as mayor, a trip to a hot spring resort is just the greatest thing. But enough about that. I've heard you completely slacked off and didn't do what I asked you to. Hey, you weren't clear enough with your instructions, okay? That's your problem, alright, man? How could you drop the ball like that? I must say, I'm quite disappointed in you. You deserve no present. I just hope it didn't cause any trouble for the folks out at sea. You didn't notice any ships hitting shore, did you? Oh yeah. The whole time you were gone, it was like a total disaster. It was like a calamity. There was a new ship hitting the shore and like breaking apart, and people just screaming and dying like every 3 minutes or so. It was crazy. You should have been here. We cleaned up really good after it though, and everyone got better, so it ended up being fine. Alright, see you later. Alright, well, let's see what we've got today. For once, I am not totally and completely exhausted by the time I get to play. Triceratops skull, that's one I think we already have. A trilobite, that's one we already have. And skull of a stegosaurus, that I'm not sure about. Hey, wait a minute. Thrived during the late Jurassic. Okay. For a second I was like, do these have an ancient life form? Yeah. I was like, do these have more detail? These letters have more detail in them than I'm just completely overlooking, but no, I don't think so. I'm not worried about it. And what's this? This is from the HRA. 11,000 points. Cool. I think 11,000 is our record so far. Our personal best, one could say. Perhaps if you're a speedrunner. Amazing ranch couch. Okay. The ranch stuff kind of goes with what I'm going for, so that could be good. Let's see. So there's the Triceratops skull and the trilobite. Let's go. You gotta be kidding me. Why do these die like half the time? I don't get it. Let's go see about donating the stego skull, if it's something that needs to be donated at all. Today has been kind of a day. Not like necessarily a bad day. I think Goosebumps maybe has not had the greatest day. This isn't the stego, is it? No, that's the Apato. I mean, nothing horrible happened, obviously, but yeah, so this is the Triceratops skull. When I took Goosebumps for his walk today, here's the stego. Yeah, that's something that can be donated. We got like all the way to the other end of the neighborhood, and then these two dogs that seemingly had escaped from their house or yard or whatever, and that didn't have any collars on or anything, ran up to us, and they were nice. They weren't like trying to attack us or anything, but they would not leave us alone at all, and they followed us across the entire neighborhood all the way back to my house, and they were very into Goosebumps. They both kept trying to mount him, and I don't think Goosebumps liked that very much, and it was a little strange. And the entire time walking back, people were like giving me weird looks and stuff, so that kind of sucked all around, just all together. A pretty sucky situation for both me and Goosebumps. And then Not not very long ago, actually. Oh, this is right up against the wall. That's crazy. I let Goosebumps out to go to the bathroom, and then when he came back in, he was really stinky. I think he rolled in some poop or something, and so I had to take him and give him a quick bath. And he doesn't like baths very much. I mean, he's not like he doesn't freak out when we give him a bath, but if he sees an opportunity, he'll try to climb out. So I think Goosebumps has not had the best of days today. He's having a bit of a rough one. My day has been fine for the most part, other than the stressful dog walk, but I mean, what can you really do? Sometimes that's just what it's like when you go outside. So I'm not stressed about it too much. And then we got pizza for dinner for no real reason. Normally we get pizza on Fridays, but we decided to get pizza today instead. And that's something we decided to do. We are very excited to watch Severance Season 2. It started coming out, the episodes started releasing on Friday last week. And that was exactly when the Game Jam started, and then we were also, Lucy was like, hey, we should rewatch Severance Season 1, and we started, doing that a week before Season 2 started coming out. And we were like, yeah, okay, but I'm really bad at watching TV shows. And so we didn't keep that consistent with it, and then we fell behind. And then now it's almost a full week after Season 2 started coming out, and we haven't even had a chance to start it. But we did finally finish Season 1 tonight. We've done that, and now we can finally start watching Severance Season 2, which we are really excited for. And especially after rewatching Season 1 and getting back into the mindset that I was in when I first finished Season 1 a year ago. We're very excited to watch Season 2. So this is the ranch couch. It's a steal at that price. Yeah, I mean, looks really nice. I'll take it. Maybe I can place this in front of my NES as hey, sit at the couch and play the NES. I don't know if I have enough room for that. We'll have to double check. So, yeah, we're very excited for Severance Season 2. Probably gonna start that tomorrow night. As far as Game Jam progress goes, nothing super substantial today. I mostly just worked on polish and game feel stuff. So I added a little bit of knockback when you hit an enemy, not when you hit the player, just when you hit the enemy, because I don't want to take control away from the player. I just don't think it feels that good in games that do that. So, just knockback against the enemy. Hey, there is a little bit of room for this. It's a little cramped, but I'd rather have a slightly cramped. Hey man, how's it going? How you doing today? Yeah? That's wonderful. I'm so glad for you. Okay, so maybe this is a little weird. But, I think it's fine. What is this hamster cage? What could I do with this? I mean, that's a hamster cage. It's really cute. You know, I'm not using this journal. Maybe that's something like doing an Animal Crossing series where I'm playing the game every single day for a full year. You'd think this journal would play a bigger role. That just seems like the natural, you know, the natural thing to take advantage of in a series like this. But no, we've got a hamster. A little 2D hamster sprite on a wheel. Journal. I think I like that better. I should find a better bedside table than this, video game package from 2007 that comes with Half-Life 2, Episode 1, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, TF2, and Portal all in one in a single package. It's a great deal, and it's the first time Half-Life 2 has been available on console. I think. I might be wrong about that. I should find a better bedside table. It feels... I know it's not a real hamster. It feels immoral to put it downstairs. I can't put it on top of this, can I? I don't think I can. No, I can't. The hamster's going right here. That's where it's going for now. And look, that makes everything a little bit more symmetrical. Isn't that nice? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So yeah, game jam stuff, I just focused more on a little bit of polish and game feel, so knockback against the enemies. The knockback is very, like, primitive, I guess. It doesn't actually, like, do it doesn't necessarily do a full-on stun on the enemy. It just applies velocity in, like, the knockback direction for a period of time, and like, while that velocity is being applied, the enemy can't apply its own velocity, but the enemy can still... Hey, Pippi, hi. Jay, is it possible? No, I'm not avoiding you. Can I help out with anything? Nope, you're lying again. Okay. You want to just chat? We can just chat, Pippi. It's fine. We can just chat. What's going on? Wouldn't it be terrible if it keeps getting colder and then it gets so cold that the river freezes over, little hair? I mean, I wouldn't really... Oh, that was a big burp. I wouldn't really mind. Oh, really? Alright, Jay. If you don't care what happens to the fishies, then you're not allowed to fish anymore. Hey, I'm pretty sure the fish are built to survive that. I might be wrong, but that's something that happens pretty regularly, and all the fish don't just die. You can't ever go near the river again, little hare. Okay, Pippi. I'm gonna move you out of the way a bit. Don't get mad at me. It applies velocity in the knockback direction, and while it's applying that velocity, the enemy can't apply its own velocity. So, like, if the enemy is moving in a specific direction, or, like, to a specific point, then that movement will be paused while the velocity is being applied. But that's the only thing about the enemy that's paused. Everything else runs just fine. So if they still, you know, have a desire to shoot, then they'll still shoot. I think I'd like to make it so that, like, they also can't shoot if they're being knocked back. And I could probably do that really easily just by adding a flag to the base script, and then having, you know, the script that handles the shooting of the projectiles, or, you know, the attacking of the melee attacking, if you will. Checking if that flag, you know, is true, and then if it is not not allowing the attack to happen, or whatever, I guess. Because I think that is a thing in Nuclear Throne, where if an enemy is taking knockback, they can't attack, and that's something that you can kind of take advantage of to sort of control a situation a little bit better, and I like that a lot. I was playing a lot of Nuclear Throne today because I love Nuclear Throne, and I'm making a game heavily inspired by Nuclear Throne. Hey, Tortimer. I know we already spoke, but... So tell me, Jay, how's life treating you in our fair seaside? You settling in all right? If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to come talk to old Tortimer. My door's always open, so to speak. See, I'm your basic mayor of the people, and of the animals, mayor of the things. Orf. Oh, but enough of all that, I've got duties. Oh, yepper. As a mayor, there's a problem I'm supposed to resolve. What was that again? It had really gotten under my shell a little bit ago. Oh, right, of course. Several villagers have been raising quite the ruckus lately, saying the town needs a new bridge. So I'm considering building the new bridge somewhere around here, but I just can't decide. What do you think? Now, I think here's a good idea. Because this is something that sort of bothers me a lot, is there is no bridge close to the beach down here. I have to go pretty far north to cross over the river. And this is, I think, 1 acre north from the beach, if I'm not mistaken. So let's do it here. I didn't know this was a thing. This is really cool. Oh, you think so, do you? Well, if you're on my side, then I'm sure everyone else will go in for it too. Alrighty. I do believe I'll make arrangements to have the bridge completed as soon as possible, Yepper. Now, you won't have to go a-hiking to cross the river. We did good work here, Jay. Let's double check I made a good choice here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot better. I think that'll be way better. I'm not even sure a bridge could be made in this acre. This is very curvy. So, this is probably the best bet, to have a bridge a little closer to the beach there. I was playing Nuclear Throne a lot because I'm making a game influenced by Nuclear Throne, so I want to really understand what makes Nuclear Throne good, and what we can also iterate on without, like, you know, taking away from the experience. And I noticed while fighting Little Hunter in Nuclear Throne, which is like one of the most obnoxious bosses, but not like obnoxious has a negative connotation to it. Little Hunter is obnoxious in vibe and in how many projectiles he like constantly spits out and how fast he is. That being said, he is my favorite boss for all those reasons. He's my favorite boss because he's extremely obnoxious, and it's like, it's a lot to try and wrap your head around. Just like anytime he's on screen, you have to really get your shit together or you'll just die in like less than a second. And I love that. I love Little Hunter. And one thing I noticed was at one point, I, like on one run, I had, like some form of automatic gun that could just basically constantly shoot, and I think it shot like shells or something, and they were really big. So I could basically just constantly hit Little Hunter, whenever he was nearby. And, his like massive amount of projectiles weren't really a huge problem in that run. And then in the next run, when I went up against Little Hunter, I had a weapon that I was almost out of ammo on, and a melee weapon. I almost immediately completely ran out of ammo on that one weapon, and then pretty much instantly, when I switched to the melee weapon, it was all over from there. I mean, obviously, trying to fight Little Hunter with a melee weapon in the first place is a terrible idea. Let alone the fact that melee weapons are really, really slow. But it made me realize that I'm pretty sure having an automatic weapon that you can land really, really consistent hits with gives you a huge advantage because of the fact that knockback state actually fully stuns an enemy, including bosses and stuff, and prevents them from shooting. And so especially against Little Hunter, that gives you a huge advantage because you can just completely stop them from basically accomplishing anything at all. And I had never noticed that before. I'd never even picked up on the fact that I had barely picked up on the fact that projectiles and melee weapons actually knocked back enemies. I had not even realized in the slightest that oh yeah, and I still need to get the rest of these peaches, that it completely prevented them from shooting at all. I'm pretty sure that's the case, because it was such a stark difference between having that really reliable gun and just having a melee weapon, just in the amount of projectiles that were on the screen. Like, when I was fighting him with the melee weapon, it was just me and him on screen, and it was like a two-who game. Whereas fighting him with the gun was like, not that it was a non-issue, but it was like a completely different boss fight. So I think there's something going on there at least, and it made me think more about the idea of having that knockback also prevent enemies from shooting, and at first, because I remember, like, when I was implementing the knockback stuff, I was like, okay, so this stuns their velocity but doesn't fully stun everything else they can do, so they can still shoot and stuff if they want to. And I had considered at the time, I could also, try to make it stun other things, such as them being able to shoot projectiles. But my first thought was just, well, I don't want to make this too easy, and I feel like that's kind of a handicap in a way. I don't want to add too many of those because I want the game to be kind of difficult. But then, realizing that was the case in Nuclear Throne, I thought about it some more, especially because of the fact that Nuclear Throne is a very difficult game. And so it made me reconsider it just because of the fact that Nuclear Throne has that mechanic and is still like a very difficult game. So very clearly Nuclear Throne is not afraid to create those quote-unquote handicap mechanics like that, because it's still a very difficult game despite those mechanics. So it kind of made me consider further what kind of implications a mechanic like that would have past just it would make the game easier or whatever. And I realized it's like a level of satisfaction, and it's also it's sort of about raising the skill ceiling too, where it just gives you another mechanic that if you're smart enough and if you're like situationally aware enough, you can take advantage of it in a way that can really give you a huge advantage, but most players won't even be aware that a mechanic like that exists. me being an example. Because I fucking suck at Nuclear Throne. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't realize that was something you could take advantage of. And the knockback and like stun time is so short anyways, that just having them like be stunned and not be able to shoot anything for like a fraction of a second for the most part, unless you're using, like I said, like an automatic weapon with good accuracy and stuff, and you're just really pouring a lot of shots into one target. For the most part, it's not going to have that much of an effect unless you're really deliberately trying to use that mechanic, and I want to make mechanics that you can really deliberately use if you like have the ability to pull it off and like know when you need to use it, if that makes sense. And so after playing Nuclear Throne for a bit, and seeing that and, considering it some more, I think I've gotten all the peaches here. I think I will be adding that in where like the knockback also stuns them from like being able to shoot and stuff. Because I do like that a lot. And I also think it would just feel a little bit jank for them to be like knocked back and look like they're stunned only for them to continue shooting. I feel like that would be a little strange. And so that would be a plus as well. I'm always about that polish. I also polished up the character controller a bit, or quite a bit today. It didn't have any polish before today. It was literally just press a key and you move in that direction, and that was it. Character controllers feeling good is really, really important to me, because that's the main way you interact with the world that you're in and the game that you're playing, right? And so if it doesn't feel good, then why even interact with the world? You know what I mean? So that's something that's probably going to go through a lot of iterations. I just tried to model it after Nuclear Throne's character controller as much as possible. Murphy, can you move a little bit here? Thanks. So a lot of games will have like a little bit of acceleration when you start moving. This game is not really the greatest example because it has analog input for the movement. So the acceleration is just inherent in like the control type. Although I'm sure there is like a little bit of acceleration in there past just the analog, aspect. I think I've checked both of these already, but whatever. But it's probably mostly just moving the controller. I mean, well, if I get myself like stuck in an animation and then so you can, it's very subtle, but you can see there's a little bit of acceleration when my character starts moving there, just to make it feel and look smooth. And so it's not just a sudden jump to like full velocity in one direction. It can look and feel really jarring when that's the case. And so a lot of games for that reason have a little bit of acceleration when you start moving. And another advantage that comes from that as well is that it allows you to be a lot more precise with your movement, because it means you can still move quickly when you're like, holding down the key and very, very clearly trying to, move a large distance, or at least a larger distance. But if you just tap the key, like a little bit of it at a time, then you'll get that really slow movement. So you can, if you need to line yourself up with something very precisely, then you can still do it without that obstructing the rest of the gameplay. Now, the thing with a game like Nuclear Throne, where it's very fast-paced, lots of things happening on screen all at once, all the time, and a game where you really don't need to be that precise with your movement, or at the very least don't need to like take a lot of time to line up your movement, or like line up yourself with something, because if you take a lot of time to do that, then you will get killed. Is there something in that tree? Were you looking at that tree, or were you just looking north of the tree? Okay, I think you were just looking... I think you were just looking around. So, because of that, that little bit of, like, initial acceleration is not super necessary. You want it there to, you know, help things feel smooth, and not jarring, but you don't want it to obstruct, like, a lot of the, see, it's confusing, because Nuclear Throne is kind of a bullet hell, so you're dodging and weaving around, like, bullets and projectiles a lot, so when I say, in the context of Nuclear Throne, that you have to be really precise with your movement, I don't mean precise in the way I was talking about earlier, where you need to, like, take your time and really, like, try and line up perfectly with something by, like, tapping the keys and taking advantage of that slow movement. I mean, like, you have to act very quickly and be in a specific place at a specific time, or else you die. I mean, that kind of precise. And so for that reason, Acre A1. Okay. I'll go ahead and do that real quick. For that reason, that little bit of acceleration can't obstruct that really precise movement that you need to, you know, be able to do at any time in Nuclear Throne. And so when you start moving in Nuclear Throne, you get a very, you almost get like a burst in movement speed. You accelerate very, very quickly to your top speed, but then when you stop moving, you accelerate a lot slower. So you still got a little bit of the acceleration when you start moving to make it not feel jarring, and then a lot more acceleration when you stop moving to really... Come on, Nick. There you go. to really sell the idea that you're a character with like a lot of weight and a lot of weight behind you, and you have to like sort of slip in the sand a bit when you stop moving, or on the ice or whatever. Not that it has like actual ice physics, because that would be a gigantic pain in the ass. I don't think it does, actually, at least. No, it doesn't. And so I basically replicated that in our game, where when you start moving, the acceleration is very fast, but when you stop moving, the acceleration is a lot slower. What I might do to take that concept even further is, like I said earlier, to do an actual, like I said earlier. Oh hey, what is this? Exotic chest. Okay. Well, if this is an exotic chest, that means it's in the same category as the exotic bureau. And while this looks like a nice brown, what I noticed about the exotic bureau over time was that it's not quite the right kind of brown that matches with the rest of what I've got going on. It's like a little too red, a little too dark. So I'm not gonna buy this, even though I think it looks kind of nice, because the color's just a little off. And that's just a trough. I don't need that. This is camo. Desert camo. I want to try that on. Yeah, I don't know. Camo's kind of a look sometimes, but not in this game, I don't think. Okay. I said earlier, in Nuclear Throne, it almost feels like it gives you an initial burst of speed when you start moving, because you accelerate so quickly compared to how slowly you slow down after you stop moving. That's not actually the case. I think you just accelerate up to the top speed. What am I doing? I need to go to A1. I think you just accelerate up to the top speed very quickly, and then you're just at the top speed. But one thing I have seen one other game do, I don't think I've seen any other games do this, but there's this guy on YouTube who's doing a devlog series. And he's also like a musician and like into sound design stuff, and also loves Nuclear Throne very clearly, because the game he's making is very, very obviously influenced by Nuclear Throne. But it looks really, really good, and I'm really excited for it to come out and to see more of it, because it just looks amazing. Anyways, that's all beside the point. He's making a game as well that's a lot like Nuclear Throne, very, very influenced by it. A lot of very similar mechanics and stuff. Just want to pop in here real quick to say, because apparently I just forgot to say it. The guy I was talking about was Daschala on YouTube, spelled Daschala. I'm also going to put a link in the description. And the game he's making is called I think it's called Full Throttle Stress Faction Bullet Shield is the full name, but he just calls it Stress Faction for short. So definitely check it out. There are 11 videos in the devlog so far, and it looks amazing, like I said. So check it out if it sounds like something that interests you. And in his game, for his character controller, he literally gives the player a like burst of speed when they start moving. So like for a split second after they start moving, they'll accelerate really, really quickly, and they'll accelerate up past like what their normal top speed is, and then slow back down to their top speed after that, just to really give the movement like a little bit more oomph, and like really get you going a lot faster. And I like that a lot. I might mess around with that a little bit. We'll see what happens. I think one of my problems with game dev, with why projects sometimes take so long to like really get going, is I just constantly, I think they're stationary over here. That's what I'm going to get. I just constantly want to go back and like tune very specific values for very specific things that probably in the long run don't matter nearly as much as I think they will. I think that's the musician in me that does that, or I guess the producer in me that does that, not necessarily the musician. Because a lot of producing music is like going around to various effects and sounds and just like tweaking it just a little bit. I've already found the money rock, so I don't know what I'm doing there. Tweaking it like just a little bit, like making small adjustments to sounds. And most of the time it has a purpose, because you're trying to like mix stuff, make sure like a specific sound sits in the mix properly so that it stands out but isn't like overpowering to anything else, isn't way too loud and stuff like that. And so there are a lot of things you can tweak to make that work. But it very quickly leads into just tweaking stuff for like hours on end, and coming out the other end with something really not that different. And so that's a habit that I've been, building up for. I've been making music for like 11 years now. So it's a habit I've been building up for 11 solid years. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And so naturally it's going to, start to sneak its way into some of my other hobbies as well. And so that's definitely something I've noticed with game dev, where when I'm making things, I will give myself a lot of parameters I can tweak, and then I will just spend hours and hours tweaking those parameters until I get something I think is good, and then the next week I'll think it's shit again and tweak it even more and more and more. And it's definitely a problem, and it's something that I didn't fully notice. Like, I knew it was a thing, but I think specifically working on this game jam has helped me realize that it's a problem. And so that's honestly really cool. Like, that's specifically what game jams are for. They're they're there to be a project that you have to complete in a specific amount of time, and nothing will point out your flaws in game design and development and programming and all that. Not necessarily programming, because like programming for a long-term project is very different from programming for a game jam, but that's beside the point. Game jams will help point out a lot of flaws in like what you do, and that's kind of what they're there for. They're there so that you can see those flaws, and you can then learn from them and apply that knowledge to your actual projects. And so it's really cool that I've already had at least one thing that I'm like, okay, this is now something that I'm aware of that I should probably not be doing. And so I'm going to also apply that to my other projects as well. Because especially in a game jam, I can't just spend hours tuning values. I have to actually get real work done before the deadline. So yeah, that's very nice. I'm enjoying this game jam a lot, and I've been learning a ton from it. I'm especially excited to get to that like latter half of development that I've never really seen before, because I've never gotten far enough in a project to get to that point. Probably because I just tune everything. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for that. I think we're going to be getting to that soon. We still have a lot of enemy variants to fill out, and then we've got that mutations system to figure out as well. But everything for like creating the levels is there. And I also started work tonight on a system that allows you, like once you've killed all the enemies in one level, to move on to the next level and keep all your stats and stuff and get all that stuff loaded and everything. And that's honestly not going to be that complicated to finish. So literally, I mean, like once we have that and we have like, we've got like 2 more enemies that we're planning to appear in like the first half of a run that we haven't made yet. Once we've got those done, which those don't take very long to make, honestly, and we've got that like loading into the next level system done, then I think at that point we're basically in the latter half of development, which is very exciting. We can just start playtesting and balancing and messing with stuff and really making the game feel like a video game, which is exciting. I've never been able to do that on a project yet. So I'm very, very excited for that. I think that's going to be happening very soon. I should stop rambling. Oh my God. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully I won't ramble for 45 goddamn minutes. So see you then.